Thanks for joining. Today, we're just going to go through some really quick tips for getting your child to listen to you. I don't have any magic solutions to get your kids to listen to you all the time. If I did, I think I'd be a lot more rich than I am. But we want to always start with at least a few of these basic tips as a way to ensure that we're engaging our children and trying to get them to listen. And I think if you're doing all of these and they're still not listening, that's pretty typical for children of all ages. But we can always take it from there. I think just at first, especially when kids are in that 0 to 6 range, we really want to get these basics down before we start concerning ourselves with other reasons why they might not be listening. And also keeping in mind, listening doesn't necessarily mean they're going to comply with the request. I can't make kids do things, but I certainly can help with engaging your child and getting them to listen a little bit better to you. The first and most important thing is to keep it simple. Use simple language and speak with as few words as possible. Anyone who knows me knows this is a challenge for me. I like to talk a lot. I like to talk fast. And so even my own kids kind of just give me this blank stare when I'm speaking to them, and I'm giving them this huge lecture that they really don't need. If you want to get a message across to your child, the best thing you can do is to keep it short and simple. My son, who's 3.5, I find that when I keep it to like 1 or 2 really simple sentences, he's much more likely to comply with the request or do what I'm asking him to do, because he actually understands it. When I'm talking to him like I would talk to my partner, he's just, my son's just kind of sitting there like, I didn't even grasp half of what you said. So keeping it simple, really important. Getting on their level. In order to get and maintain their attention, meet them at their eye level to engage in conversations, whether it means sitting, kneeling, bringing your child up into your arms and actually looking at them. Just, and this is important for any communication with any person. If you're staring at your phone or you're yelling down at your child, it's already going to get them to disengage. So when you want them to actually engage in a conversation, get on their level, look them in the eye, and then start talking when you know you have their attention. Showing respect. This one, it seems obvious, but it's not really. I think a lot of parents just sort of assume that their child should respect them, but they don't show their children equal respect. And respect can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. But I think to me, it means speaking with respectful language, not putting your child down. So speaking positively, even if they've done something that you don't agree with, not yelling and keeping your tone of voice normal. I think you can be firm without necessarily having to be passive or having your child walk all over you. You should speak to your child the way you want to be spoken to. And when someone yells a request at me, I can tell you that that doesn't make me want to comply with that request. So we want to speak respectfully to our children so that they learn to reciprocate it and that they can offer you and other people that same courtesy. It's a skill that they're going to need throughout their life. Positive versus negative. So using positive language that explains to the child what to do rather than negative language that only explains what not to do. Children hear the word no a lot and they don't like it. So if we can tell them what to do instead, they're more likely to hear us and comply with the request. I'm constantly yelling at my son, do not run in the house, do not stomp in the house. We have downstairs neighbors who are really sensitive to noise, and it's hard with 2 young children at home. And I feel like I'm constantly saying, no, no, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. And I think switching that language, which I'm trying to work on, and switching that language over to say, hey, can we walk quietly when we're at home? Can we walk calmly? Hey, let's put on our slippers. But still, all of those things, like even if it's just putting on a pair of slippers or socks, it's still a positive request. It's something that they can actively do versus just saying, no, don't do that. And it makes your child more likely to listen to you and actually do what you're asking. Giving choices is great. If you offer choices rather than giving a command, it helps children feel more in control. This will result in more compliance and less power struggles. This one is huge, and it's so funny because I have so many parents saying that, well, will it really make a difference? Yes, this is a huge one, especially if you have a child that likes autonomy, independence, they want to be in control. It's a way of offering a type of control within limits, and the limit maybe only 2 choices, it might be 5 choices. I usually say the older the child gets, the more choices you can give. Um, but in those younger years, under 5, we're definitely maxing out at about 3 choices. So for, and even younger, around the age of 3 or less, we're still only offering, one of 2 choices. But it tends to disengage the power struggle, disengage the tantrum. They're at a place where they're actually listening to you because they like that they're being given a choice. Most children feel the respect that comes from that, and then will refocus their attention onto choosing between the two, and then are more likely to forget that they're asking them to do something. um, Positive reinforcement. When your child does listen and follow directions, provide positive reinforcement to make it more likely that the behavior will happen again. This does not need to be a reward, like a physical reward. It can be words of encouragement or quality time, which are still types of rewards. But I think here for me, I don't love giving like monetary things or little prizes and stuff like that. I do it, but I probably shouldn't. I like to encourage things, that like words of encouragement, I think are a lot better. Saying, wow, you did a really great job cleaning your room. My kids, when I give them the positive feedback of doing something really well, especially when it comes to cleaning, they are 10 times more likely to listen and do it the next time I request it. And I just feel like sometimes I'm pulling my hair out trying to get my house clean. So the positive reinforcement, is done with a positive, happy tone, and it's giving them that feedback that they need to say, hey, I'm really good at this. And kids love to do things that they're good at. So I encourage using this, especially with the words of encouragement. Um, Engaging cooperation rather than offering a reward again. Help your children see that following directions can have a directly positive impact on them. So again, it's not saying if you do this then you'll get this, if you clean your toys then you'll get TV time. I try to, it's still the same idea, but I try to phrase it to children, and I encourage parents to phrase it to their child of, first we do one thing and then we do the other. So you can have TV time as soon as you clean up your toys. TV time only comes when the house is clean. And that's a rule that I have in my own home. It's pretty much the only way I can get my kids to clean up after themselves. So it's usually phrasing it as, yes, we're going to have dinner as soon as the house is clean. And it's not saying one is contingent on the other necessarily. It's just there's an order in which we do things. We don't move on to the next activity until the first one is cleaned up and tidy. And so that helps them listen to you and engage in cooperation because they understand and can predict. So maybe the first time you say it, it doesn't go so well, but the predictability of, oh, I need to do A before we can move on to B tends to be more engaging for children, and they tend to comply with the request more because they know it's just something that they have to do. So my kids love to get bedtime books, and it's a really great way to say, okay, well, we have to do our bedtime routine before we get our bedtime books. And what's part of that routine? Brushing teeth, washing up, having a bath, for having a bath that night. And they're way more likely to do those other activities because they know that those things have to be complete before they get books. And one of the other pieces to that too is I always say, oh, we only have a certain amount of time. We only have 30 minutes or we only have 40 minutes. And so if you can't get those things done in that amount of time, then we don't have enough time for books before bed. And it usually means they're kind of racing through it, but they get the idea that there's consequences for their actions and that they need to behave in a certain way in order to move on to the next activity. So those are sort of my really quick tips for engaging listening. Of course, there's way more that you can do, but those are really simple ones that you can incorporate into everyday life. And hopefully you'll at least notice a little bit of a difference in engaging your children and getting them to listen to you. If you have any further questions, you can email us at admin@camray.ca. I don't have the other email address up there, but for our early years parenting support program, you can also email us at pspgroupsignup@camray.ca. You can check out our website at www.camray.ca, or you can call our admin desk at 604-436-9449. And we can help you learn more about this topic and lots of other parenting topics as well. Thank you so much for joining today.